Hello and welcome back to Football by the Numbers. My name is John. You know me as the Stat Man, John. I am finally joined once again by my two co-hosts, Will and Andrew. Will and Andrew, boys, how are you guys doing? I'm glad that you guys came prepared in Premier League jerseys. Glad I wore mine.
You know, you gotta rep. It's a big time here. I'm very excited to be back. It's been
As
a
am
busy past couple of months, but we're here and we're gonna talk
Finally.
soccer and we're gonna love every minute of it.
We're all back together. I wish I had a song for that so I could start singing and dancing in my own little
The
frame.
boys are
But
back
we
in
don't.
town. The boys are back in town.
There you go. Will, how are you doing? I love your jersey a lot more than Andrew's. I think we're in for a good showing from Villa this year. What do you think? How are you doing? Let's get to that first. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, John. Doing just dandy. I'm headed out on my own vacation here soon, so I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
Honeymoon.
Yes, honeymoon. Congratulations once again. As much as I would love to sit here and talk about you, Willard, the true love of my life, and we're going to talk about the second love of our lives, and more importantly,
Your wife won't appreciate that, but
well,
we all know soccer is the true love.
she is the true, one and true only love of my life, and she has my heart. But we're talking about our passions here. And let's talk about soccer. Let's talk about our Premier League predictions. At the time of recording, the Premier League is already underway. I think we're on match day 3 here. I have the standings pulled up in front of me here. Boys, how do you think the Premier League is going so far? And do you think this is an accurate representation of what we can expect throughout the rest of the season?
I think it's way too early to even say it's able to represent how the season is going to go. It's a fire game right now. It's who's excited, who's fit. You get to kind of see the teams that came in and they worked hard during the preseason because they had to. And then you get to see a little bit of the teams that their talent allows them to escape a little bit of the dreadful preseason, I would say. I mean, we've seen some teams haven't even rolled out their starting rosters yet.
True. I find that interesting that you say that, being a Chelsea fan and having so many Chelsea players be on international duty, what with Emerson winning the World Cup, Romelu Lukaku, Mason Mount, and N'Golo Kante having a little bit more of a break. But interesting that you say that. Will, what do you think? Is this an accurate representation of how it's going to pan out? i.e., are Arsenal going to get relegated?
Yeah, I'm not jumping to conclusions, but that is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping Kroenke gets relegated.
Down!
They probably have too much talent to finish in the bottom 3.
I have 538 pulled up here, and it looks like they are projecting Arsenal will finish 8th. Interestingly, 538 has them finishing behind Brighton in 7th. But now that we're 2 games in, I would love to see Kroenke get relegated, and all the Arsenal fans who are so toxic. I love you, Cameron. I know you're an Arsenal fan. You're not a toxic fan. But the toxic Arsenal fans, I would love to see them get smacked down a peg, even though they've been getting smacked down pegs for the last about 7 years now.
Shoot, I'll say 10 years. Arsenal's been butt.
Yeah, I was going to say 7 years because I think that's when Wenger last left, and that's when they were last in Champions League contention. How do you think the league is going to pan out? So let's just dive right into it, and let's go with top 6. Who's going to make those European spots? Who's going to win the Premier League? In my mind, top 4 is pretty much already set.
I looked at last season's expected points total, kind of worked off that based on who made big additions, who lost big players. So Man City finished first quite comfortably ahead of Chelsea in expected points, and they added Grealish this offseason. I think they finished first again. Chelsea in second added Lukaku. He probably adds a little more to the expected points total than Grealish, but yeah, not enough to make up that gap already. Liverpool finished third last year, but didn't do a whole lot for me this offseason. I'm sure they will make a move coming up. Man U finished 4th, like 3 points behind them, and they made big additions this offseason in Jadon Sancho and Varane from Real Madrid. I'll say they leapfrog Liverpool. So my top 4 goes Man City, Chelsea, Man U, Liverpool.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid top 4 pick. I don't see anybody leapfrogging any of those 4 teams. I don't see really anybody that comes close. Andrew, do you have any?
I don't have any drastic changes. I mean, obviously, I want Chelsea to win the league. I think it's going to be pretty hard with the team that Man City can roll out. We've known for the past, 3 years they can roll out 22 guys and pretty much match any Premier League team's best 11 no matter what. So I think even though I want Chelsea to win, I'm going to put Man City at first, Chelsea at second. I have Man United at 3rd, Liverpool at 4th.
Yeah, I think that's
Not
wise
too different.
decisions.
It was
I
exactly the
think-
same, Andrew. Just to
Yes,
be clear.
it was
Not too
exactly the
different.
No,
same.
I just had to convince myself to not put Chelsea first, so I had to say it out loud.
Fair enough. Although I do think Chelsea are the main team to challenge for the spot. I think we saw last year in at least 2 of the competitions, Thomas Tuchel really outsmarted and outwitted Pep Guardiola, who does poorly in finals but great in 38-game seasons. So he really has that longevity to him. But in those tournament finals, I think he really overthinks things. Myself, as a biased Liverpool fan, I think I would put Liverpool first, City second, Chelsea third, United fourth. I wish, as a United, being our greatest rivals, they would drop out of the top 4. But as an informed person, I think especially if City get Harry Kane, and with the addition of Grealish as a roaming 8 and trying to get into those optimal free kick positions, which is really why they got him, as well as his stellar quality as a player. I think I have to go City, Chelsea, Liverpool, United. I think United are still they're inconsistent, and they're still like 1 or 2 positions away, and that one main position is like the holding midfielder, the 6th spot. And I think that Pogba is an amazing talent, but I don't think that United utilizes him correctly. So I don't think he's like a 10 out of 10 for that team.
Except he's holding form right now. He's holding form. He's got like 5 assists in their first 2 games.
Yeah, he's holding form, but they also drew to Southampton, who I have as a big relegation candidate, which is pretty embarrassing. So to kind of flip-flop like that, but to see Liverpool with Andrew Robertson injured and no real major additions to really replace Gini Wijnaldum after he left, to see how well they're doing. I would expect them to make a couple of signings here at the transfer deadline. I'm eager to see how Harvey Elliott does. I think that City is going to win the league. I think if they get Harry Kane, they have the league for the next couple of years, with Chelsea close behind. And Romelu Lukaku, I mean, he's really come out firing. He almost had 2 goals in their win. Yeah. And Andrew, what do you think about Chelsea's window? Just to recap, I think they are transfer positive. I didn't do this math, but their big addition was Romelu Lukaku, but then they also got rid of Tammy Abraham, Fikayo Tomori, Tammy Abraham both going Costa going to Serie A to Atalanta, Victor Moses going to Spartak Moscow, Giroud going to AC Milan, and then loan deals for Emerson and Kennedy. Davide Zappacosta going to Serie A to Atalanta, Victor Moses going to Spartak Moscow, Giroud going to AC Milan, and then loan deals for Emerson and Kennedy.
Yeah, I think if you look at it from the team they had last year, the only big change I have is Lukaku. And so they didn't make a huge splash in like money and stuff, but I like the way that they kind of offloaded, not necessarily huge amounts, but a decent amount to be able to keep their starting 11 plus 5 guys that can be pretty quality. Ultimately, I think their window is now at the same time as Man City, because Man City is just like a juggernaut. But as you can see, Man City can be beaten. So I think Chelsea gets to play kind of the underdog route right now, and they might get a win or 2 out of the next 4 or 5 Champions Leagues if they can continue to hold the quality that they are. It's just going to kind of depend on how Lukaku, Mount, Pulisic, Werner, Havertz, how they can hold form and score goals, because ultimately that's what they need. They have a pretty solid back line, and Conte in the middle, I mean, he's one of the best midfielders in the world. So you put him up against De Bruyne, you've got to find your 3 that are going to match Kane, Grealish, De Bruyne up top.
And even, I know you mentioned Conte, but you look at the lineup too. He doesn't even go missing when he's not on the pitch. You have such a deep midfield bench. Jorginho, Kovacic, and I think it was a very shrewd signing, Romelu Lukaku, bringing him back to Chelsea for 126.5 million. So you could have kept him all this time, but I think those stints at those various clubs, Everton, Man United, Inter Milan, all made him the quality striker that he will be. He's one to watch this season. I think Pulisic is another one to watch at Chelsea. Will, what do you think of Chelsea's transfer window so far? Is there anybody else, maybe other than Manchester City, who did pretty remarkable business?
I'm pleased with Chelsea's offseason. I mean, another move would have been great, obviously, as a Chelsea supporter as well. I would have liked that. I think they'll stay within striking distance of City for a while, up until Man City makes a splash for Harry Kane, which probably put it like 50-50 or 40-60. Besides Grealish, Lukaku's, and then Man U's moves for Sancho and Varane, I think it was a pretty quiet off season for EPL clubs. I mean,
Yeah.
I like the Josh Sargent move for Norwich, but that doesn't really move the needle.
And I'm going to disagree with you. I think one of the best moves made by a Premier League club this year was Aston Villa. The key addition being Emi Buendia from Norwich City. So Emi Buendia last year, from the attacking midfield, 15 goals, 16 assists, created 18 big chances last year, and created 3.1 key passes per 90. That is absolutely immense. And having somebody like Ollie Watkins up front for Aston Villa, the sale of Grealish really hurts them, but you see that they're using that money to good effect.
To fall back real quick is I think Lukaku kind of holds Chelsea a little bit closer to Man City when they do get Kane because of that. I view Lukaku and Kane as similar playing styles, so allow them to kind of play in the same hands.
Emi Buendia bought for 42 million. Danny Ings bought for 38.7 million from Southampton. He had a stellar year for Southampton, the cornerstone of their offense. I think that's a huge reason why they're going to be relegation candidates this coming year. They also bought Leon Bailey from Leverkusen. They got Ashley Young as a free transfer at left back, and they got Axel Tuanzebe, Man United up-and-coming center back as well. I mean, they did some shrewd business. I thought it was also very, very good what United did in their business, in their transfer window, finally buying a right winger and finally buying a center back that can go hand in hand with Harry Maguire and Rafael Varane. And what a steal. What an absolute steal they got for Varane. 44 million, and I believe his transfer value on Transfermarkt is almost double that at 77 million. Sancho at 93.5 million as well to strengthen that right-hand side. I'd like to see Grealish in the center of the park. But enough of the top four. We've talked about the top four enough. Who do you guys have at, let's say, 5, 6, 7, 8? So getting into the Conference League spots and the Europa League spots. Obviously, 5, 6 would be Europa League, 7, 8 would be Conference League, unless cup winners are different from those.
I think if Tottenham can hold on to Kane, they kind of have a pretty strong hold on number 5.
At number 5, I had Leicester.
Leicester's a good shout. I think Leicester is going to struggle a little bit this year with the injury to Wesley Fofana that's going to keep him out for the entire season. But I would have them at 6th, I would say.
I went with West Ham, even though they didn't do a whole lot. I'm hoping maybe there's a reunion with Jesse Lingard coming.
It'd be interesting to see. I think I have West Ham at 5. You know, they're sitting at the top of the league table right now, 2 days in, and I don't think that that's a sign of what's to come. I don't think they'll make top 4, but I think that David Moyes can bring that side into the Europa League again. I don't think that's beyond doubt.
I had Leicester at 6, and I had West Ham at 7.
Will, who do you have at 7?
This is when it got really hard for me.
You like the underdogs. You like the middle of the pack guys.
I do. I wanted to, get a little crazy and put Brentford in my top 8.
Oh man, really going crazy. Okay.
Just a heart pick. I wanted them to bounce Arsenal from the top 8. I mean, Brentford finished 5th in expected points last year. They're just super unlucky. Maybe they're just not good finishers, and that won't turn around for them this year. I don't want to put them in my top 8. Tottenham's in my top 8, definitely. I want to put them and Everton in, but I mean, they didn't do a whole lot, either team, and I think Harry Kane's going to leave Tottenham.
So who's 7?
I'll say Tottenham 7 and Aston Villa 8.
I have Aston Villa 8.
I have Aston Villa at 7, and I think I'd have to put Tottenham ahead of Arsenal at 8th. I think Arsenal need to tamper their expectations. Top 4 is not achievable in the next 3 years for them, I don't think. I think they're at least 3 years off. I think they have a lot of holes in their squad that they need to fill. Top 8. Conference League would be a better aim for them this year than top 6 or top 4.
I'm just going to say there's a whole lot of bad mojo around the team right now with
people
already talking about Arteta's job after 2 matches and them rumors that they're willing to move on from Aubameyang already.
I agree that they should have moved on from Aubameyang before he signed his contract. And I know he came off of a very high scoring season that year that he signed his big deal, but he did nothing this year. And they just need to focus on other areas. He's not a left winger; he's a striker. They need to move on from Lacazette and not sign him. I think signing him to an extension would be a very bad decision. Arteta out is understandable based on his results, but I don't think it's going to help their squad. I think their ownership structure and the people investing in the clubs and higher up are the main ones at fault for the way Arsenal is being run and their structure and why they're in such dire straits as a club. Currently, we saw that with Wenger out because they thought they should be doing better than top four and getting knocked out of the Champions League. And then we went to Emery, and they weren't willing to wait for Emery despite him winning Europa Leagues at other clubs beforehand and now winning a Europa League at Valencia, knocking out Man United and knocking out Arsenal on the way to that Europa League final. I understand the sentiments for Arteta out, but they're not going to help the squad.
Now, who do we think is going to be an underdog, guys?
What do we think of Brighton? Brighton, according to 538, has about an 8% chance to finish mid-table. 538 has them finishing 7th. To kind of give a backstory to our audience here and to those who might not know, Brighton are anticipated to be 7th because last year I believe they were 3rd in expected goals against or expected goals for or points or something like that, expected points. The reason that they were so low in the table last year is because they were a very good team. They're a very creative team. They could not finish their chances and they needed to buy a striker. They did not buy a striker. They bought a center midfielder, Enoch Mwepu, from Red Bull Salzburg.
Maybe they think that over some practice that these strikers are gonna get some goals.
I wouldn't have them finishing top 10. I'd say maybe lower, the upper end of the lower half of the table.
So who's your underdog then? Who's gonna surprise you most?
I think Aston Villa and Leeds.
Leeds is my choice. I think Leeds could reap some havoc up in the table. I don't think they can break the top 10, but I think they definitely can cause some headaches for the teams that are really trying to fight for some top spots like Tottenham, Arsenal.
I think they could get 10th. I think they got 10th last year, didn't they?
Yes.
Right around there, yeah.
I think 10th or 11th.
Rafinha and Jack Harrison are going to be the keys to that team this season.
I'm riding the Brentford wave, man.
Yes,
Rolling
you
in
are.
Straight from the championship.
Yeah,
Exciting style of play.
Ivan Toney is an excellent finisher in the box. 33 goals, 10 assists last year. All of those goals coming from inside the box. He put a goal tally for this year that he wants to hit, and it's 14 because last year I believe that's what Ollie Watkins did at Aston Villa, who was, of course, over at Brentford before moving to Aston Villa. Now that's a nice little rivalry going on between those two strikers there. Let's talk about relegation now, guys. Who's going down? Who do we think is going to be relegated this year? Let's get the bottom 3 teams. I'll start off. 20th place, Norwich.
I'm right there
disagree.
I think 19th for me, Newcastle.
Oh,
That's a good shout. That was one of mine. So, Will, who do you have in 20th? Did you say you disagreed with Norwich?
No, I'm not going to disagree there.
Yeah.
Yes.
After Buendia left, they just don't have a strong enough squad. I had Newcastle at 18th, not 19th.
I have Arsenal at 18th.
Oh.
Yeah,
I can't help it. I have no bone in my body can root for them. I want to put them at 20. Dumpster fire. Let's just blow them up.
It sounds hilarious to me when people say that Arsenal are going to get relegated, but last year at like a quarter of the way, maybe a third of the way through the season, they were like 15th. So it's not without reason. They did lose to Brentford first game of the season 2-0. I know it was away from home, but it wasn't that far away from home.
Let's keep going. Can we just set fire? I could watch every game of them if I knew they were going to get relegated. I could watch it and just laugh, enjoy.
Yeah. So the flops of the season you think are going to be Arsenal, Andrew?
Yes. Huge flop.
Do you have Arsenal getting relegated, Will? Or who's your other relegation candidates?
No, I wanted to pick them as the relegation candidate. I think
I'll do it.
Too much talent. I think they could definitely finish bottom half of the table if this keeps up. I am considering hate watching more of their matches than actually watching Chelsea matches.
Whoa! Now, what are you doing? Why would you even say that? Yeah. You can watch both of them. Okay.
I think we're all gonna have the same 3 teams probably. I have Norwich in 20th, Southampton 19th, Newcastle.
I think the other two I would throw in there would be Burnley and Crystal Palace. I think with Crystal Palace, with Eze being injured, that hurts them a lot. Patrick Vieira coming in to take over could go one of two ways. I think it could be really good or really bad. And I'd throw Burnley in there as well. I think Burnley just don't have enough talent to stay up, and it's kind of like them and Newcastle have been riding like the very edge of relegation for a couple of seasons now. For sure, for a fact, and you can write this down and bring it back to me at the end of the season, if Alan Saint-Maximin gets injured at Newcastle get relegated. If he gets a long-term injury, that team gets relegated. And we saw it almost happen last year when Alan Saint-Maximin came back. They surged to life and made it up out of the relegation zone.
Such a shame, because I really like their jerseys this year.
Yeah, they're kind of cool. They're cool.
Are there any players that you guys, to wind down this episode, what players are you guys looking out for this season? It could be on one of the big 4 teams. It could be at a lower league team. It could be someone who you want to break out at a club and get a bigger move. What are you looking for?
I'm going to take a USMNT spin on this, and I'm going to watch too many Norwich games just to see if Josh Sargent can crack the starting lineup ahead of Poku. We all like the Okus on here. Yeah, I want to see Sargent, get in a groove and start to be able to finish some goals. And besides Sargent, I'd say Paul Pogba kind of finding his form with the national team with Man U. That would be exciting.
I don't think Paul Pogba stays in the Premier League.
I think this is his last year on his contract, right?
I think PSG is going to swoop in before this deadline and buy him out.
I don't know about that. I think in the last year of his contract, he might ride that out. And it is confirmed his contract does expire June 30th, 2022. So he does have 1 year left, and people are able to sign him for free, and his agent is a shark. I am going to go next while Andrew searches for those of you who didn't witness it because it was edited out, the reason we like the Oku names is because Andrew thinks Jeremy Doku is on Arsenal, and he is actually on Stade Rennes, but we won't.
That's not even the first time I've done it. I just don't learn.
It's not the first time you've done it. We've had conversations about this too, so with that, don't worry, that will be edited out. Maybe it'll be in a bloopers reel sometime. I have
Which is going to be full of Andrew. I'm just all the bloopers.
Andrew. It might be full of me too. Will Leonard, you don't make your mistakes. I got a couple. Liverpool, I want to see Diogo Jota break out because the African Cup of Nations is going on this year, and Salah and Mane are representing Egypt and Senegal, not Cameroon. Egypt and Senegal, they both made it in the African Cup of Nations, so they'll be out for a while, and coming back, I think they'll be tired. I think it'll be interesting to see what Jota does. He might have already established himself as the number 1 pick for striker, and I think that's who all the play is going to be funneled through. Mason Greenwood at United, I think he needs to make the switch to striker and break out at the striking position. And then finally, I'm going to say Buendia, we already talked about, but Francisco Trincao over at Wolves. I think that's my final pick.
I'm gonna shout out Lukaku. I hope he can keep form of what he did over in Italy. But I'm gonna be interested to see how Sancho does over at Man United, coming over from Germany. How the style kind of changes, how he can adapt and be as dominant as he is. And then I'm gonna go with Rashford, how he does coming off of England's big upset and not really getting much time playing for the national team. How he's gonna come back. Man United. I feel like he's going to have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. Can he come out and really blow up even more than he did last year because he played such a dominant factor in Man United's success last year?
Yep. And of course, we'll all be watching Jack Grealish because he's like everybody's favorite. I'd love to see how he does in the light blue for the UAE Oil Moguls. And that is all we have time for, boys. Do we have any final thoughts or anything to plug?
Undefeated Rec League.
That's right. Come out and support our rec team if you are in the St. Louis metropolitan area. I'm not going to give the location of that other than the St. Louis metropolitan area because I don't want people, Arsenal fans in particular, to come and hunt us down and destroy us. Will, do you have anything to plug yourself?
I mean, you can listen to our sister podcast, the Lou Boys. Got a couple interviews lined up with guys who played for St. Louis FC, Mr. Soccer, Bill McDermott. But yeah, we've got many exciting episodes of this podcast coming out soon. So look forward to that.
Definitely. And go check out our Bundesliga preview. I worked really hard on that video. I also hyped Caden Clark, which I didn't even need you guys for. So please be
That's my
impressed
boy.
with me. It's basically a Caden Clark fan channel. We'll probably tag him in the tags underneath this video as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Go check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to be on the lookout for some extras that we might be dropping here later on and some new recent developments that we might be showing up here. Maybe an intro video, maybe some new logos or graphic, some awesome stuff. Make sure to watch Andrew when he eventually gets his pro contract and get his jersey wherever it may be found online in stores. Classic football shirts, name drop there.
John, we appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We are Football by the Numbers. Hey guys, what's up? Thank you for watching the most recent video that was just before this. This is kind of an addendum filmed about a week after we filmed the last episode of Football by the Numbers, which was our Premier League predictions. I really hope you enjoyed it. The reason it was late to be posted, and the reason we haven't posted it yet, was because I wanted to do some follow-up things. Today, as of the time of filming, is the transfer deadline. It didn't look like there were too many big moves done. Sal Niguez went to Chelsea, and Chelsea's looking like it had a pretty excellent transfer window, signing Lukaku as well, and offloading a lot of players like Tammy Abraham, Emerson going out on loan, and several other players. Chalboa looks good, if that's how you pronounce his name. I mean, the whole team's firing. That draw against Liverpool this past weekend was a good result for them, and it shows where the top four are in relation to each other, so I think we're going to have a good transfer window. Also, one of the biggest pieces of business happened a couple of days after we filmed that last video, which was Ronaldo reuniting with his former Manchester United team. I've talked to a couple of Manchester United fans. Some think it's more sentimental than smart business. Others think it's really good, and he's going to develop a lot of things. Either way, I think Martial is going to see his way out of the club, and Cavani has already said that he's going to stay, although I believe he is isolating in Uruguay for a couple of weeks while he competes in the World Cup qualifiers. I believe it is an 8 to 12 week quarantine period that he has to undergo, but I think Ronaldo is going to be a great influence in the locker room. He alone raises the tide at Manchester United, just attitude-wise and work rate-wise. I think everybody in training is going to try and work harder to impress Ronaldo, and I think Greenwood could really just be taken under Ronaldo's wing and become an excellent world-class striker under the best striker of all time, I think we can fairly say. Manchester City did not get Harry Kane. Harry Kane actually tweeted out and said that he was staying in a questionable tweet. I think he's kind of acted a little sketchily this summer in saying that he had a handshake agreement with Daniel Levy and saying that he wanted to leave Tottenham, essentially. I don't think those words ever left his mouth in the public eye, but I think the expectation was there that he was going to go to City, and City did not sign him this summer. In his Instagram post, he did say he was going to stay this summer, and that verbatim was quoted on his Instagram page, that he was going to stay this summer. I don't know if that means that they have an agreement in principle, he and City, or if he's going to leave at a later date, like in the winter or next summer. I don't know what that means. And he's acting like he's coming back because of the adoring fans at Tottenham. That's just not true. It doesn't seem true. It never seemed true to me. But, you know, we move, and we'll see what happens with Harry Kane and Tottenham this year. They did make a couple of decent signings this year. I think they could get maybe top 6. I don't think top 4 is really in contention. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little recap of deadline day and some of the other business. Liverpool, my favorite team in the Premier League, we'll kind of touch on them. They didn't do any deadline day business other than signing Jordan Henderson to an extension, which is a really crappy kind of way of saying, hey, we did do some business, but we didn't sign anybody. But here's a consolation. It's a new signing day. You could have announced that a couple of days after the signing day or a couple of days before. That's really irrelevant to the theme of the summer, really, where you can sign players for 2 months. I'd love to talk about some of the other business going around in the other leagues, but that's not what this video is about. You'll just have to stay tuned. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. We're Football by the Numbers. Stay tuned next for our U.S. Men's National Team World Cup qualifiers video. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.